Greetings, viewers, and welcome to another explosive episode of Flashpoint Essay, where we dig deep into the corridors of political power, uncovering the shadows lurking behind South Africa's most powerful players. Today, we revisit one of the most controversial and long-whispered political puzzles in ANC history, a question that refuses to fade no matter how many years pass. Did Cyril Ramaphosa, Matthew Phosa, and Tokyo Sexwale ever truly attempt to overthrow then-President Thabo Mbeki? To this day, the silence from key players, the evasive interviews, and the scattered confessions have only deepened the intrigue. Rumors began circulating as early as the early 2000s, suggesting that a high-level internal rebellion was brewing behind the scenes in the African National Congress. Thabo Mbeki's presidency, known for its intellectualism, rigid control, and controversial policies, especially his HIV/AIDS stance, was not universally celebrated within the ANC itself. Deep rifts had formed between the so-called technocratic elite that Mbeki led and the populist wing that saw itself as the true heirs of the ANC liberation legacy. Among the most whispered names were three political giants: Cyril Ramaphosa, the former trade unionist turned business tycoon; Matthew Phosa, a powerful provincial leader and strategist; and Tokyo Sexwale, the former Robben Island prisoner and influential Gauteng premier with enormous business clout. Together, they represented a formidable force. Their combined wealth, popularity, and struggle credentials positioned them as an alternative power axis within the party. But was this trio actively plotting to topple Mbeki? The question caught fire in 2001 when whispers of a plot became more than just rumor. The Sunday Times published claims of an intelligence report that allegedly implicated Ramaphosa, Phosa, and Sexwale in a conspiracy to unseat Mbeki. The claim was that they were using their influence and networks to prepare for a leadership challenge that could have caused chaos within the ruling party. The leak sent shockwaves through the ANC and the country. But in a twist that only deepened suspicion, the intelligence report was never made public. There were no arrests, no official statements, just strategic silence and denials. Ramaphosa dismissed the claims as preposterous. Phosa called it political nonsense. Sexwale went further, declaring that the rumors were fabricated to divide the movement. But many within the ANC, including those sympathetic to Mbeki, were not convinced. The context of the time is key. Mbeki was becoming increasingly paranoid about internal threats. His style of leadership left little room for open contestation, and dissenting voices were often crushed or sidelined. One of the most glaring red flags was that all three men, Ramaphosa, Phosa, and Sexwale, were seen as rising stars who suddenly disappeared from the political frontline after the alleged plot. Ramaphosa, who had been widely seen as Nelson Mandela's preferred successor, retreated into business. Phosa faded from the media spotlight. Sexwale shifted focus to his mining empire. The silence was deafening. Why would three powerful and ambitious leaders step back just when the ANC was transitioning into a new era? Was it simply a coincidence, or were they politically exiled by a cautious Mbeki? Years later, Julius Malema, then the firebrand leader of the ANC Youth League, would bring fresh fuel to the fire when he referred to the real reasons Ramaphosa was pushed out in the 90s. According to Malema, Mbeki never trusted Ramaphosa, believing he was too close to the West and too ambitious. The theory suggests that Mbeki and his allies may have manufactured or exaggerated the plot narrative as a pretext to neutralize rivals. Fast forward to the present day, and the ghosts of that supposed plot still haunt the ANC. Ramaphosa is now president, having risen from the ashes of political exile, and ironically, his own presidency faces the same kind of internal whispers and strategic maneuvering. Matthew Phosa has reemerged at various times, often as a critic of the party's direction. Tokyo Sexwale, though quieter, recently made headlines over the mysterious Heritage Fund claims, again drawing attention to the opaque world of ANC power games. But let's ask a difficult question. Even if the plot was real, would it have been unjustified? Thabo Mbeki's presidency was not without criticism. His economic policies, while praised by global markets, did little to address mass unemployment. His health policies were tragic. His aloof style created divisions. Could it be that Ramaphosa, Phosa, and Sexwale saw the need for a different leadership path and were simply too early in their ambitions? It's important to understand that within liberation movements, leadership contests are rarely straightforward. In the ANC, ambition is often masked behind slogans of unity. Alliances are built in the dark and broken in the open. The idea of a coup or political rebellion is not necessarily treasonous. It's often a feature of power realignment. What made the alleged 2001 plot different was the timing, the secrecy, and the brutal consequences. Over the years, analysts have pointed out that Mbeki's administration used state intelligence and internal party structures to enforce loyalty. Leaked tapes, purges, and reshuffles were part of the arsenal. If the plot did exist, it may have been more of a leadership campaign than a coup attempt, but in the high-stakes world of ANC politics, the difference is academic. To this day, no solid evidence has been presented to prove the plot was real. But the circumstantial evidence, the sudden exits, the silence, the exile of potential successors, remains powerful. And in South Africa's volatile political landscape, unanswered questions tend to resurface, just when we think they've been buried. So, where does this leave us? With a haunting question, still unanswered, still whispered in the corridors of power, still capable of reshaping our understanding of history. Did Ramaphosa, Phosa, and Sexwale truly try to overthrow Thabo Mbeki? Or were they victims of a paranoid presidency desperate to hold on to power? The truth may never come fully to light. But in politics, perception is often more powerful than fact. And in this case, the perception of a plot may have changed the course of South African history forever. Thank you for watching. If this political mystery gripped your mind, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful political exposés. Stay tuned for more untold truths, only on Flashpoint SA.